He stole $40 million in masterpieces. The FBI art crime team spent 5 years hunting him. In September 2018, the FBI art crime team issued a federal warrant for Thomas the Curator Whitman, a 45-year-old former museum curator turned master thief. The charges were staggering: conspiracy to commit theft, interstate transportation of stolen property, and wire fraud. But the scope of his crimes made him one of the most wanted cultural criminals in American history. Whitman had orchestrated 7 sophisticated gallery heists across 5 states over 3 years. His targets weren't random. Each theft targeted specific masterpieces worth millions. A Picasso sketch from a Chicago gallery, 2 impressionist paintings from a Denver museum, a rare Monet from a private collection in Boston. Federal investigators estimated the total value of stolen artwork at over $40 million. What made Whitman so dangerous wasn't just his criminal ambition, but his expertise. As a former curator at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, he possessed intimate knowledge of security systems, authentication processes, and the international art market. Court documents revealed he had used forged provenance papers and fake insurance documentation to move stolen pieces through legitimate auction houses. He wasn't just stealing art, said FBI Special Agent Catherine Reyes, who led the investigation. He was systematically undermining the integrity of cultural institutions across the country. Whitman's methods were meticulous and predatory. He studied gallery layouts for months, befriended security guards, and even manipulated museum employees to gain access. During one heist in Philadelphia, he had replaced a stolen painting with a nearly perfect forgery, delaying discovery for 6 weeks while he escaped with millions in stolen cultural treasures. The FBI's art crime team, a specialized unit of only 14 agents nationwide, made Whitman their top priority. His knowledge, resources, and connections in the art world made him uniquely positioned to continue his criminal enterprise indefinitely. He had to be stopped. Thomas Whitman's final heist was his most audacious and his cleanest escape. On August 23, 2018, he walked into the prestigious Meridian Gallery in Manhattan during a busy exhibition opening. Security footage shows him calmly removing a small Van Gogh sketch worth $8 million from its frame, slipping it into a portfolio, and disappearing into the crowd of unsuspecting art enthusiasts. By the time gallery staff discovered the theft 3 hours later, Whitman had vanished completely. Federal agents arrived at his Upper East Side apartment to find it stripped bare. His bank accounts were emptied. His phone went straight to voicemail. Even his car had been abandoned in a long-term parking garage at JFK Airport. He had planned this disappearance for months, Agent Reyes later testified. We found evidence of at least 4 different false identities, offshore accounts in 3 countries, and a sophisticated network of contacts in the international art underworld. The FBI immediately launched a nationwide manhunt. They coordinated with Interpol, monitored auction houses from New York to Los Angeles, and placed undercover agents at major art fairs. Airport security systems were updated with Whitman's photograph and known aliases. Art dealers from coast to coast received bulletins warning them about potentially stolen pieces. For 6 months, the investigation consumed federal resources. Over 30 agents worked the case across 12 field offices. They followed up on hundreds of tips, sightings at galleries in Miami, suspicious art sales in Seattle, even a reported encounter at a wine auction in Napa Valley. Each lead turned cold. By spring 2019, the trail had gone completely silent. Whitman had seemingly evaporated into thin air, taking with him $40 million in stolen masterpieces and leaving behind devastated museums and collectors. The case files grew thicker, but the dangerous fugitive remained a ghost. The FBI's pursuit of Thomas Whitman became a marathon of patience and persistence. For 3 grueling years, Agent Reyes and her team refused to let the case go cold. They deployed art recovery specialists across multiple states, maintained surveillance at over 200 galleries, and cultivated informants deep within the underground art market. We knew he couldn't stay hidden forever, Reyes recalled. Criminals like Whitman are predators who can't resist the hunt, We just had to wait for him to surface. The close calls came in waves, each one more frustrating than the last. In December 2019, a suspicious art transaction in Miami caught federal attention. A seller matching Whitman's description attempting to move a Degas pastel through a private dealer. By the time agents arrived at the beachfront hotel, they found only an empty room and a fake passport left behind on the nightstand. 18 months later, surveillance cameras at a Los Angeles art fair captured a figure agents were certain was Whitman, browsing European paintings while wearing a beard and glasses. The FBI scrambled a tactical team to the convention center, but their target had already melted back into the crowd of thousands of art enthusiasts. Each near miss taught them something new about their dangerous quarry. Whitman was living nomadically, never staying in one city for more than a few weeks. He had perfected the art of blending into gallery crowds, using his expertise to pose as a legitimate collector or dealer. Financial analysis revealed he was likely funding his fugitive lifestyle by slowly selling pieces from his stolen collection through carefully chosen intermediaries. By 2022, the Manhunt had consumed over 12,000 agent hours and cost the Bureau nearly $2 million. Some supervisors questioned whether the resources were justified, but Reyes and her team knew they were dealing with more than just a thief. Whitman represented an ongoing threat to cultural institutions nationwide. The breakthrough, when it finally came, would prove their persistence was worth every hour. On March 14, 2023, everything changed. An art authentication expert in Santa Fe contacted the FBI about a disturbing discovery. A client had approached him about selling a small Manhunt painting that matched the description of one stolen from the Denver Museum 4 years earlier. The painting's provenance papers looked legitimate, but the expert had memorized the FBI's stolen art database. The brushwork, the frame, even a tiny restoration mark in the lower corner. Everything matched the missing masterpiece worth $12 million. This was the break we'd been waiting for, Agent Reyes said. But we had to be careful. Whitman was smart enough to use intermediaries, so we needed to draw him out personally. The FBI crafted an elaborate undercover operation. Agent Reyes assumed the identity of Catherine Morse, a wealthy tech entrepreneur from Silicon Valley with a passion for impressionist art and more money than sense. The Bureau created bank records, social media profiles, even staged photographs of Catherine at gallery openings across California. When the art authenticator contacted his client about the interested buyer, Whitman took the bait. The stolen Monet was too valuable for him to trust to a middleman. After nearly 5 years of careful anonymity, his greed finally overcame his caution. Phone records later revealed Whitman spent 3 days researching Catherine Morse's online before agreeing to a private viewing. He suggested meeting at a secluded estate outside Santa Fe, away from prying eyes and security cameras. Exactly what federal agents had hoped for. As the meeting date approached, FBI tactical teams moved into position. They rented properties surrounding the estate, installed long-range surveillance equipment, and coordinated with local law enforcement. After nearly 5 years of hunting one of America's most elusive cultural criminals, they were finally going to get their man. We had him, Reyes remembered. He just didn't know it yet. On March 28, 2023, as Thomas Whitman prepared for what he believed would be another successful art sale, a dozen FBI agents were closing in on his location. The raid unfolded with military precision. At 2:47 p.m. on March 28, 2023, as Thomas Whitman showed the stolen Monet to undercover Agent Reyes, FBI tactical teams surrounded the Santa Fe estate. Agents moved in from 3 directions, cutting off all escape routes. Whitman's face went white when Reyes identified herself. FBI, you're under arrest. The master thief, who had eluded capture for nearly 5 years, simply raised his hands and surrendered without resistance. I think he knew it was over, Reyes later reflected. Living as a fugitive had finally caught up with him. The search of Whitman's rented estate revealed the full scope of his criminal enterprise. Federal agents recovered 23 stolen masterpieces worth over $40 million, including the Van Gogh sketch from his final Manhattan heist. Hidden in climate-controlled storage units were works by Picasso, Monet, Renoir, and Degas, cultural treasures that had been missing for years. Investigators also discovered detailed records of his forgery operation, correspondence with international dealers, and evidence of additional art thefts dating back to his museum career. The recovered evidence would ultimately lead to charges in 7 states and federal court data. In federal court, Whitman pleaded guilty to 13 felony counts, including conspiracy, interstate transportation of stolen property, and money laundering. During sentencing, the judge noted the systematic violation of cultural trust and the irreparable damage to artistic heritage. Thomas the Curator Whitman received 25 years in federal prison with no possibility of parole. The stolen artwork was returned to its rightful owners, museums, galleries, and private collectors across the country. Many institutions held special exhibitions featuring the recovered pieces, celebrating both their return and the FBI's dedication to protecting cultural treasures. Agent Reyes received the FBI Director's Award for her role in the investigation. But for her, the real satisfaction came from walking through galleries and knowing the art on the walls was exactly where it belonged. Today, Thomas Whitman serves his sentence at a federal correctional facility in Colorado, where he will remain until 2048.